Hello and welcome back to your mat. Today we're going to do a simple short flow that's going to utilize both the front and the back of our mat. You'll see what I mean here in a moment. So we'll get started right away. No props are needed unless you have some favorites you like, but there's no props that are actually required for today's class. Today's quote is by Aristotle. There is only one way to avoid criticism. Do nothing, say nothing, and be nothing. So we'll get started standing. Today's flow class will be all standing. And we're going to start with our legs wider here, and my feet are turned out. So my toes are turned out and my heels are pointed in a bit. So I'm at about a 45-degree angle here with my feet. And then just come into any amount of bend here. So you can stay more upright if you like. You can bend a little bit deeper. Hands can rest nice here on your thighs. We're just going to start with some shoulder dips. So we're going to dip that right shoulder in. And when that's happening, my right arm is straight and my left arm is bent. And we'll dip in with the other side. So dip in with the left shoulder. So now that arm is straight and the right arm is bent. So we're just going to go back and forth between those two sides here. Just warming it up a little bit before we move into our flow. Allow a little bit of opening there in the shoulders. You're also getting some hip opening here, some groin opening here. And we'll go one more each side. Make sure you're breathing through all of these. And then go ahead and stand all the way up and go ahead and release those legs. Have them nice and straight here for a moment. All right, so from here, take a breath there. From here, we're going to go ahead and turn to the front of our edge of our mat, and we're gonna come into high lunge. So I'm gonna turn my left toes toward the front. I'm gonna pivot on the back ball of my foot here. So now the ball of my foot is on the ground, my toes are on the ground, and my ankle is off the ground. So come in your high lunge. So you can have your arms raised up overhead if you like, down to your sides, or interlace. You pick the variation that works best for you today. I'm gonna go with the interlace. Take a breath here and there, in and out through the nose at your own pace. Release your arms. Now we're gonna do a twist to the left. So go ahead and bring your right arm out in front of you and your left arm out behind you and twist your body to the left here, any amount to the degree of your range of motion. Take a couple breaths here. Release that, come back to your high lunge. And here again, you can have your arms in whatever configuration. I'm gonna leave mine down today. I'm having a little bit of shoulder issues, so I'm gonna leave mine down. But you can do yours however works best for your body today. And then go ahead and step to the top of your mat. Release that right leg for just a moment. And then we'll go ahead and we're gonna balance on this left leg. And then you're gonna bring this right leg up any amount. So you can keep it closer to the ground. You can use something to hold on to you next to you if you have something. Rise that leg up any amount, that right leg bent, any amount. You can grab the knee if you like. Find your focal point. And then we're gonna release, listen carefully, release that leg down. And if you can, without touching, step back to the back of your mat and lower that right knee down. If not, you can always touch down first and then come back. So we're gonna come into a nice low lunge here. I'm gonna go ahead and untuck my back toes and I'm gonna sink deeply into that front left hip. Again, variation with your arms. You can have those up overhead if you like. They can be interlaced behind you or simply down on your knees. Stay here for another breath. We're gonna pivot and transition to the other side. So we're gonna do this somewhat gracefully and carefully. So we're gonna start with this leg that's already bent. We're gonna kind of turn it a bit. I'm gonna come up on my toes. My heel's not gonna hit the ground. And we're now what's called a low skater pose. So you might be more upright if you like. And then you're just gonna simply come on over to the other side and then pivot yourself around and come into that high lunge. So go ahead and, so now we're using the back of our mat. So our right leg is bent. My right toes are toward the back of my mat. And I'm up on the heel here. My heel's off the ground in my high lunge on my left leg. So again, arm variations. You know what you can pick. Pick one. We're in our high lunge, but we're now facing the back of our mat. So I told you we're gonna use both the front and the back of our mats. So that's how we're accomplishing that today. So go ahead and stay here for a moment, whatever arm variation you've picked. And we'll go with that twist. So left arm forward, right arm back, and twist to the right, any amount that works for your body. Stay here for a breath or two, breathing at your own pace. come back to your high lunge, arm variation of your choice, and then step forward. And then we know what we're gonna do here. We're gonna go on the balance on the other side. So go ahead and balance on your right leg and then bring that left leg up any amount, bent any amount. So you can stay closer to the ground so you can touch down easily, or it can come higher up. We're just looking for a quick balance here. And listen carefully, we're gonna do that transition again. So if you're able, we're gonna go ahead and bend that left leg back and touch it down toward the back of our mat and lower that left knee down and come into your low lunge and bend deeply into that right. Now, if you find that's too much for you, you can always back off of this. So bend to your degree that works for you. Stay here for another breath. We're gonna do that transition again. We're gonna come in that low skater. So kind of come into your variation that works for you. So for me, my heel has to come off the ground. You could also come up higher up. So whatever works for you, flip those left toes up for just a minute, get a nice stretch there. And then we're gonna come all the way back up to center. And we're gonna stay here for just a moment before we're gonna do one more round on each side. So just catch your breath here. Take a moment, maybe close your eyes, feel yourself in space. And then we're gonna go back to the front edge of our mat with our left side first. Now, if you found during that first round that you were a little wobbly, one big suggestion I have is to really expand out your stance here so you're wider on your mat. So the closer these are together, if it's more like a tightrope, it can be a lot more wobbly. So spread those out a bit. That's just the best advice I can give you to help with that stability. All right, so we'll go ahead and move to the front of the mat into our high lunge. You know where we're going now. So high lunge, left foot is forward. Arm variation that works best for you today. Take a nice inhale there and an exhale. Another inhale and exhale, and then open up into your twist to the left. Stay here for 2 breaths. And then come back to your high lunge. Again, whatever arm variation works best for you. Step forward on your mat. Take a pause. And now, balance on that left leg and bring that right knee up, bent, to whatever degree works for you. Find your point of gaze off in the distance. You can always use something here to assist for balance. And then when you're ready and feel steady, go ahead and step that right foot back. Lower that right knee, untuck those back toes, and now you're into your beautiful low lunge. Again, you can always step down. So go ahead and stay there, but if you find that you need to step your foot down and then step back and put your hands down, that's perfectly fine. I don't know if my dog was in that video or not, but if you hear something wrestling, that's my dog Josie. So we're gonna go ahead and stay in our low lunge for a moment. Again, you can back off if you need to. If you have really tight quads, actually backing off can help because it'll really help open up the quads a bit more. Or if you wanna focus more on the hip flexors, then you would dig a little deeper here, dive a little deeper. So pick what works best for your body today. And then we're gonna transition to the other side. So go ahead and come into your low skater, your version of low skater. So I've got my right toes are pointed up. You can also be higher up. And then we're simply gonna come over and do into our high lunge to the right. So you know where we're going. Come on up into your high lunge. Right leg is bent forward. Arm variation of your choice. Stay here for 2 breaths. And then go ahead and open up into your twist to the right. Stay there for another breath. Come back into your high lunge. If you wobble, that's okay. It's part of the practice, any arm variation. And then go ahead and step up on your mat. Take a breath there for a moment. And now balance on that right leg and bend that left knee in any amount. Just a little balance challenge here. So you can have your arm out to the side to help here. Find your point of focus. And then if you feel steady and don't need to touch your foot down, but you can always touch down first and then go back. Otherwise, go ahead and go all the way back without hands, or you can sit the hands down, drop that back knee, untuck those back toes, and come up into your low lunge. So if you want to back off a bit, open up the quads a bit more. You can not bend as deep in if you want to go more for your hip flexors. Or I can do a little bit of each. So maybe a breath in one and a breath in the other. Stay here for another round of breath. And then we're going to come into that low skater again, or again, it can be a high skater, so you could come up a bit more high. And maybe your ankle touches the ground. Mine just does not right now, and that's fine. And then we're going to come back all the way up. Come back into the original configuration we started with, so our toes are pointed out, our heels are in. Go ahead and sink into your goddess pose, and we'll end with the shoulder dips just as we started. So just a couple of rounds, dipping one shoulder then the other. And this is how we're going to end class. So you are welcome to lie back into Shavasana if you like. But otherwise, I'm going to leave you here. Thank you so much for joining me for this quick flow that utilizes both our front and the back end of our mat. Hope you found this helpful. And until next time.